Welcome to Phantom Radar Battalion. Locking onto today's key events of July 30th, 2024. Starting in the Middle East, tensions continue to escalate. Overnight, the Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, reported conducting strikes on approximately 10 Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon. These targets included a Hezbollah operative in Beit Lif, a weapons depot, a rocket launcher, and various other infrastructure elements. This response, while significant, is not expected to be the final retaliation by Israel. Additionally, Israel struck a residential building in Beirut, targeting a senior Hezbollah commander located in the Haret Herk area. This isolated strike has not yet escalated into a persistent bombing campaign. However, mass demonstrations in Israel have erupted due to the detention of 9 IDF soldiers accused of severely abusing a Palestinian detainee who is now reportedly paralyzed. The graphic nature of the abuse has sparked immediate riots, with demonstrators attempting to breach the perimeter defenses of 2 military bases where the soldiers are held. High-ranking Israeli politicians, including National Security Minister Ben-Gvir and Knesset member Hanik Milvitsky, have voiced support for the soldiers, stating that their actions were justified and legal. These demonstrations highlight fractures within Israeli society. In Gaza, another terror school in Khan Yunis, serving as a forward base for Al-Qassam, has been demolished by Israeli forces. Artillery also targeted Abbasan al-Kabira, east of Khan Yunis. The Lebanese Ministry of Health reported that the number of victims of the Israeli attack on the southern suburb of Beirut has risen to 3 dead and 74 wounded. The Israeli army spokesman stated that Hezbollah is dragging Lebanon and the entire region into war. This ongoing conflict poses significant risks for regional stability. In Syria, the conflict remains intense. Pro-Assad forces bombarded the town of Kafr Ta'al, west of Aleppo, and the surroundings of the village of Marand, near the city of Jisr al-Shugur, in the Idlib countryside with heavy artillery. Unidentified gunmen killed a former opposition member and injured a civilian in Dara Governorate in southern Syria. Additionally, 2 HTS fighters were killed today on the Kabana axis in the northeastern Latakia fronts, with 1 fighter from the Jisr Shogur countryside in southwestern Idlib. The U.S. State Department has reiterated the need for the Golan Heights to remain secure under Israeli control as long as Iranian-backed groups are active in Syria. This highlights the ongoing strategic importance of the Golan Heights in regional security dynamics. International events in Lebanon this morning indicate significant unrest. Israel struck a residential building in Beirut, targeting a senior Hezbollah commander. As of this report, this appears to be an isolated strike and not part of a persistent bombing campaign. In response to recent Israeli actions, the Israeli army spokesman has stated that Hezbollah is dragging Lebanon and the entire region into war. The Lebanese Ministry of Health has reported 3 dead and 74 wounded from the Israeli attack on the southern suburb of Beirut. Turkish President Erdogan has threatened a response if Israel invades Lebanon with ground forces, further complicating the regional dynamics. In Ukraine, the conflict continues to affect civilians. 2 individuals were wounded after a drone dropped an explosive device in Kherson. The Russian Ministry of Justice has declared 56 additional organizations as terrorists and extremists, many of which are advocating for the independence of various Russian Federation regions. The White House has announced a $200 million aid package for Ukraine, including air defense interceptors, HIMARS artillery munitions, mortar rounds, and Javelin anti-tank missiles. This aid package underscores the ongoing support of the United States for Ukraine in its struggle against Russian aggression. In Venezuela, mass rioting and civil unrest continue following questionable election results. Factional allegiances have complicated the national response, with some police departments, soldiers, and local warlords opposing what is perceived as President Maduro's bid to cling to power. Other reports indicate police and military forces firing on demonstrators with live rounds. While much of the Venezuelan armed forces support Maduro, pockets of soldiers are defecting to resistance groups or refusing to target protesting civilians. The complexity of the situation indicates that recent events cannot be solely explained by corruption. While Maduro has contributed significantly to Venezuela's economic woes, there are also real concerns about election tampering. The U.S. and various American non-governmental organizations have expended significant resources to oppose Maduro due to his control over crude oil reserves affecting American and British resource extraction in the region. This situation may involve both a tyrant clinging to power and foreign governments attempting to replace him with a different puppet regime. In the United Kingdom, climate activists vandalized London's Heathrow Airport by spraying paint throughout much of Terminal 5's departure area. One of the vandals, who previously vandalized a Vincent van Gogh painting in the National Gallery of London, was convicted of this crime last Thursday and is potentially facing several years of imprisonment. This act was likely motivated by her conviction and aimed to commit one last attack for the Just Stop Oil institution before her incarceration. In Southport, another child has died following a stabbing attack, bringing the death toll to 3, all of whom were children. Riots broke out in Southport in response to authorities conducting information-shaping operations to protect and conceal the identity of the assailant. At least one police vehicle was set on fire during the riot. On the environmental front, a crude oil spill from the Crescent Midstream crude oil facility in Lafourche Bayou, Louisiana, has caused significant concern. The extent of the spill is still being assessed, and local authorities have requested residents to conserve water. Although officials claim no contamination has reached the adjacent water treatment facility, locals report significant environmental damage. On the home front, a train in Iowa derailed in the community of Glidden last night. Local reports indicate at least 3 dozen cars catastrophically derailed, and recovery efforts are underway. No hazmat concerns were reported by Union Pacific. Indications of potential Israeli combat operations in Lebanon are mounting. The U.S. Embassy in Beirut is preparing for possible unrest involving U.S. citizens, urging them to enroll in the STEP program and prepare to shelter in place if evacuation via commercial aviation is not available. Several airlines have already delayed or canceled flights into Beirut due to the risks of a widening conflict. Analysts suggest that the strategic situation in the Middle East is highly volatile, with Israeli ground operations in Lebanon appearing increasingly likely. Over the past few weeks, airstrikes from Israel and rocket strikes by Hezbollah have intensified in the Golan Heights, suggesting a de facto state of war. The international community is bracing for potential large-scale ground operations by Israel in Lebanon, which would be markedly different from the conflict in Gaza. Additionally, the ongoing geopolitical shifts, including the BRICS nations' efforts to establish an alternative to SWIFT, signify significant changes in the global economic landscape. The reduction of dollar dependence among major economies could have far-reaching implications for international financial systems. The situation in Venezuela highlights the ongoing struggles for democratic governance in the region, with election irregularities further destabilizing the country. The international community's response will be crucial in addressing these issues and supporting the Venezuelan people in their pursuit of fair and transparent elections. That's all for today's briefing. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more news and insights.